Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
We welcome you to Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati as we honor those who served and died, representing the greatest country in the world on this Memorial Day, the United States of America. To those who have served, are serving, or will serve, we say thank you. Today, the Colorado Rockies in town for the first of three against the Reds. Reds trying to end an 8-game losing streak. Hi again, everybody, and happy Memorial Day weekend to you. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Thanks for joining us on this Memorial Day Monday. And, well, it certainly is a day to remember because Brian Price is doing something today that has not been done in Reds history going back to the 1930s. He's batting the pitcher 8th and Billy Hamilton 9th.
Well, it's historic when you look back. Let's hope it's something that they stick with because it's going to work. And Brian Price is just trying to pull out really all stops and trying to get this offense going. It has never clicked over a period of time the way they thought they would coming out of spring training. But you got speed at the very bottom with with Billy Hamilton. You got a little speed at the top. And, of course, you got now Joey Votto batting number 2, but maybe really batting number 3 if you want to look at it like that.
You look at this Colorado Rockies team, and really since it began back in 1993, they've been all about offense, very little pitching, and once again, their offense this year, maybe not necessarily the home run ball, but they're coming off a big couple of days against a good Giants team.
Well, it's a team that has had some struggles so far this year. They have not won at home like they normally do, but overall, if you want to rank them by batting average, second in the league. Runs per game, 4.3. And this is even after a team that lost 11 in a row earlier in the year. So it's a team that really hasn't pitched very well. They're missing some parts right now that are injured. We're not going to see a few of those guys today. We may see them later in the series. But certainly it's a ball club, just like the Reds, that have had their share of scuffles, and they're ripe for the picking.
Due to the injury to Johnny Cueto, the general stiffness for the time being, is Jason Marquis coming back after yet another bumpy start in Kansas City.
There was some question mark really as to whether Jason Marquis was going to make this start. But I think with the injury to Johnny Cueto on the sidelines temporarily, Marquis is going to get another shot. And he's a guy that when he's in control and on the corners, he can give you 5 or 6 pretty good innings. And when he's not, he gets hit around a little bit. And, you know, for Jason Marquis, maybe it's just getting that feel back, finding the release of the ball and getting the ball where he needs to be. If he can do that, he can keep you in the ball game. This young man, Eddie Butler's got an awfully good arm. They're not really sure where that ball is going to go in the strike zone or if it will go in the strike zone. But he's got enough former #1 draft pick. Young kid, second day in a row, the Reds are going to face a 24-year-old right-hander.
Well, they're hoping for better luck today than they had against the young right-hander Bauer yesterday up in Cleveland. Doesn't the misery have to end today? All right, what's a lucky number the Reds have? It's a little something to hang on to. Jim Day will have that story when we come back. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Game today, there is a good chance we're going to deal with some scattered rain and thunderstorms. Won't rain the whole time, but that's something we're definitely going to keep an eye out for. 78 degrees around first pitch. It is a muggy 80 toward the end of the game. Won't rain the whole game, but for a few of those innings, we will have to keep an eye to the sky. Let's see if we can turn this thing around. Let's go, Reds.
I'm Jim Jay. Let's check out our Out and Out storylines for today. Tom Brenneman asked, what is the Reds' lucky number? That lucky number right now is 4. When they score four or more runs, they are 14-3. That is third best in the National League. And when scoring 3 runs or less, 4-22 with a 154 winning percentage. Reds hoping to score 4 more today, but there is a caveat with that. They've only done it 17 times, scoring 4 or more, and that is the fewest in Major League Baseball. Well, it's Memorial Day, as we know, and throughout the day we will celebrate and honor those who have given their lives for this great country. And we'll do it right now as we take you to break.
This Memorial Day, Fox Sports honors our fallen warriors. Following in his father's footsteps, Chris Schirkenbach joined the Army to serve his country. An avid Florida football fan, he was known for wearing his bright orange gator hat even while deployed in Afghanistan. But while piloting a rescue mission, Chris was killed in action, just months before he was set to adopt his first child. Fox Sports honors Chief Warrant Officer Chris Schirkenbach.
Rolling into Great American Ballpark, and just moments ago, Major League Baseball today and its teams will participate in a national moment of remembrance, a moment of silence coming up later. But of course, on this Memorial Day, Lieutenant Colonel Phil Tilley, our ceremonial first pitch. 20 years he served, and we thank him in the United States Army. Major League Baseball has participated in its national moment of remembrance, going all the way back to 1997 to honor soldiers who lost their lives during active military duty. The net proceeds from the sale of the special caps and jerseys that will be worn today will be donated to the Welcome Back Veterans Program. That provides grants to university hospitals throughout the country to treat veterans suffering from PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. Major League Baseball has committed $30 million to welcome back veterans. Well, the home team takes the field. in those uniforms we were just talking about a moment ago to raise money. And the Colorado Rockies come to town, 17 wins against 25 losses. In his third year as their manager, he had never managed except for a high school team before becoming skipper. Longtime major league player and a good one, Walt Weiss. Take a look at his starting lineup today. Charlie Blackmon will lead off at center. DJ LeMahieu at second. Nolan Arenado at third base. Paulson in left. Rosario at first. Barnes in right. No Carlos Gonzalez. Justin Morneau's on the DL. Latter third of Nick Hundley. Daniel Descalso in for Tulowitzki. And Eddie Butler. 2-5 on the year is on the mound. Jason Marquis starts it for the Reds.
Well, Jason gets his 9th start of the year, and the Reds are 4 up and 4 down when he starts. His personal record is 3-4. Earned run average is up there. In fact, he's only pitched one game this year where he's not given up at least 3 runs in that ball game. And it was a very good outing that he had against the Milwaukee Brewers. 8 innings of 2-run baseball. Last couple of outings, not so great. He got beat around by the Giants, and then away when the Reds were in Kansas City against the Royals, went 3 innings and gave up at least 4 runs in each of those ball games. So he hopes to right the ship a little bit. And of course, the key for Marquis is first pitch strikes, moving the fastball a little around. He's got a splitter that he uses as a changeup, and it's a very good pitch, especially against left-handers.
All right, so here we go. Blackmon was originally not in the starting lineup for Colorado today. Was going to get a day off. But Carlos Gonzalez has come down ill. Tulowitzki's getting a day off today, and here we go. First of 3. It's ball 1 outside to Blackmon. A .265 batter, 6 home runs, 17 batted in, 7 steals in 9 attempts. 2-0. Rockies come off back-to-back wins over the Giants, the first time they've won 2 straight games since the 3rd week of April. They haven't won 3 in a row since the 3rd week of April. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and that was on the heels of what Chris mentioned a moment ago, an 11-game losing streak back in May, early May. There's a strike, 3-1 to Blackmon. Of course, the Reds come into this one knowing all about an extended losing streak. They have dropped 8 in a row. And there's a walk on 5 pitches to the leadoff man, Blackmon. Take a look at the Reds on defense. Brought to you by Ford. Regular cast of characters we've seen virtually day in and day out through this entire young season. The Reds announcing before the game today, the guys in Reds Live told you. Devin Mesoraco placed on the disabled list for the time being on the 15-day DL. They have brought Manny Parra back to the active roster, available to pitch out of the Reds bullpen today. And you wonder if we have seen the last. You hope not. But have we seen the last of Devin Mesoraco here in 2015? Runner goes, had a huge jump, and no chance for Brian Pena. For Blackmon, his ace steal in 10 attempts.
Now that was even after a throw over by Jason Marquis to try to shorten up the lead a little bit. But look how big that lead was that he started with. And there's really nothing that Brian Pena could have done. That's right out of the page of the Reds offensive arsenal right there, is to try to take advantage of a stolen base whenever you can get it.
DJ LeMahieu going to be asked to bunt here in the very first inning. Or at least he showed bunt, pulls the bat away at strike 2. A .331 batter is LeMahieu. He was a guy that came over from the Chicago Cubs. And that's when Ian Stewart went the other way, and the Cubs were hoping that Stewart would be their third baseman, you know, for a number of years to come. Didn't play out that way. Stewart was a disaster with the Cubs. But the guy Colorado thought they were getting, it was going to be a good player. There was that young Tyler Colvin. Turns out LeMahieu is by far the best player in that deal.
Now defensively, remember, he's the guy that won the Gold Glove at second base last year. And he's putting together a terrific offensive season to go along with awfully good glove work.
Votto, a nice pickup. Thought about throwing. Ooh, and very late getting the feed of recovering Marquis. But they do get the out. Of course, Votto charged with a big error yesterday that allowed a couple of runs to score.
Well, a smart play by Votto, there's no doubt, because had he decided to throw this ball to third base off balance as he was, you see the fake to third was one of those sidearm throws. We've seen him throw those on the money. However, that's a long way across the infield. They get the man at first base, so the Rockies have a man on third, 90 feet away, and the Reds are going to bring the infield in. With that interesting configuration of Todd Frazier right down here at third base. He's doing that to keep the runner close at third.
Standing with his foot on the bag over there. Then comes off when Marquis delivers ball one to Arenado, the third baseman.
That's what you see in your not-hold team, right? Guys holding runners on no matter where they are.
I don't get it.
Me neither.
Because you can't pick them off.
In this case, it makes some sense because you want to keep that guy a little bit close.
And hooked into left field, a base hit, and Colorado comes to town. And in the very first inning, they get a walk, a stolen base, a ground out, and a single for a 1-0 lead. Now, one thing the Rockies have done this year, we showed you as a team, they're #1 hitting with runners in scoring position. RIGS bringing the energy. They have 3 in the top 10, including, or all the top 3, I beg your pardon. Arenado not going to cover off the ball, and that average has just gone up. And there's a base hit into right field by Paulson. And they are wasting no time jumping all over Jason Marquis. Told you the Rockies as a team are batting .322 with runners in scoring position this year. Their problem has been they haven't had very many at-bats with runners in scoring position. 21 other teams in baseball have more at-bats than these Rockies do in those situations.
Right. So you really ask yourself, are they that skilled with runners in scoring position, or is it a short sample size with a little bit of luck thrown in?
Well, here's Willeen Rosario. This guy's been a pretty dependable offensive force as a catcher, even with multiple injuries in 2014.
Well, that's why they're trying him over at first base. Nick Hundley is their catcher now. He's a major upgrade defensively over Rosario, but Rosario is good enough offensively that they're going to play him at first base and see what happens.
They started the year with a major league club. They sent him back to the minor leagues, and since bringing him back up, he swung the bat very well. 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in, 5 doubles, a triple. I mean, you could pretty much write it down the last 3-4 years. 13 to 15 home runs, 50 to 65, 70 batted in. It's pretty good for a catcher day in and day out. Swing and a miss, the bat goes flying. Out goes the bat, and out goes Rosario.
Boy, that was an ugly swing. At least nobody got hurt. I mean, he tries to bring his hands in so close, he almost hits himself in the knee, and then he whirly birds a bat. Fortunately, it landed in the net. The only thing missing was that bat sticking in the net.
So a 2 down, 1 in, 2 on. Here comes Barnes. Our first look at him. Been used primarily as a pinch hitter last year. Oh, and fouled that ball, I think, right off his knee or his foot, one or the other.
Well, Barnes is a guy that, if you remember that name, he played a little bit for the Houston Astros. He came over here to Colorado in exchange for Dexter Fowler, along with Lyle Jordan, or Jordan Lyles, that is. And he's a guy that Walt Weiss just loves. He brings a lot of energy. He's got a football background, and he just brings tons of energy with him to the ball club. not projected to be in the everyday lineup when everybody's healthy and playing, but a guy that's fit in quite nicely for him.
Well, he led the major leagues last year with 17 pinch hits. And scoring runs as a pinch hitter. That's a nice play there by Marquis. That's a hard hit ball. Loses his glove, throws out Barnes. That'll end the inning. 2 hits, a walk, a run. Reds coming back trailing 1-0. A regional tourism network stay closed to CincinnatiUSA.com by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Beautiful look at downtown Cincinnati. Brian Price in his starting lineup today. Brought to you by Meyer. Phillips, then Votto back in the 2-hole. Frazier third. Bruce Pena Bird in the middle. Cozart, Marquis batting 8th. Billy Hamilton bats 9th. First time any Reds manager has had the pitcher batting anywhere outside of the number 9 spot, going all the way back to the 1930s.
Really the first time we began to see that, Tom, I guess Tony La Russa did that in St. Louis. And this year Joe Madden has done that an awful lot in Chicago. And it makes some sense, really. I think it's just another attempt by Brian Price to get something going. You know, rather than sit back and run the same guys out there in the same order all the time and getting the same results, just try something new.
Eddie Butler is 2 weeks away from his 24th birthday. Grew up just outside of Virginia Beach, Virginia, in Chesapeake, Virginia. Pitched collegiately at Radford.
By the way, they're dancing in the streets at Radford University. They got their first ever NCAA baseball bid, automatic, by winning their conference. Don't ask me what conference they're in, but they won it, and that's one reason why Eddie is quite happy out there. His alma mater's going to the postseason.
Well, that is something to be proud of. Good for them. I imagine your Louisville Cardinals will be hosting a sub-regional there, right?
I think they are. I wish I could claim them, but they're a fun team to watch, I can tell you.
What do you mean you wish you could claim?
Well, I mean,
if you have a kid that plays there, you get to claim.
They're my favorite team this year in college baseball.
And for the next 4 or 5 years.
You know, another local team has done very well. Wright State has claimed a bid to get into the postseason with the NCAA. So we congratulate Wright State as well.
I did not look because I know they were having a very good year. Did my alma mater, Ohio University, get a bid?
Not all the bids are finished yet. So I don't think they won the MAC.
Okay.
Which would have gotten an automatic bid, but I don't think they're all out there yet.
Well, generally speaking, if you don't win the MAC, you probably don't get an at-large bid
in
most
the MAC,
of the time.
Yeah, unless you're a 40-win team.
1-2 to Brandon Phillips at 309. 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in. Be followed by Votto and then Frazier. And that one, a sinking liner, will stay up long enough to be caught by Blackmon. 1 away. Remember, Joey Votto began the year batting in the 2-hole, where he was a T-Mobile game changer. Look at the 23 games since going to the 3rd spot in the order. A .250 hitter with 6 runs batted in after tearing it up batting in the 2-hole. That ball is driven hard in the left field, so here he is back in the 2 spot. And on the very first pitch in his first at bat, he doubles off the left field wall.
Well, the first thing you're going to notice about Eddie Butler is he's got a good fastball. And a fastball low and away like that is good hitting for Joey Votto. Boy, using the strength that is in his legs now, driving the ball the other way. It's a pretty good looking swing.
4th extra base hit this entire month for Votto. And here's Todd Frazier, .258 batter. Chases a pitch down and away. 12 home runs, 24 runs batted in for Todd Frazier.
All right, Tom, I got an update on your Ohio Bobcats. They are in the postseason. They'll be playing in Champaign, Illinois, where Illinois will host the regional. And they will play also with Wright State and Notre Dame. So
those 3 teams are in trouble.
All right.
Big trouble. Illinois, Notre Dame, Wright State, forget it. DUN.
You Ohio Ute boys are always quite cocky.
They're always
like that. Cocky.
No, just feeling good, confident, strong. Been a while. They're hungry. Oh, Frazier's hungry. A drive into deep left center field, and Blackmon will stand at the wall, jump, and just out of his reach, it's gone. Home run number 13 for Todd Frazier.
Eddie Butler has faced 3 hitters, and everyone has hit a line drive. One in right center field caught, one off the left field wall, and that one off the little protector over the Reds bullpen. That gets a little energy into this crowd here.
And hopefully a little energy into this Reds dugout and throughout the Reds team. That ball's hooked into right field. Line drive off the bat of Jay Bruce. Ryan Pena takes down low, 2 balls and no strikes.
It just goes to show you, though, Tom, this young man, Eddie Butler, is throwing anywhere from 93 to 95. And every time he gets it up in the zone, hittable, it is hit and hit hard by the first 4 guys. You've got to have something a little bit more than just a fastball. He does throw a changeup and a slider. But with a lot of young pitchers coming up, you know, you just don't have confidence in those, especially when you're facing left-handed hitters. If that changeup isn't really honed down where you can throw it right, you're reluctant to do that. There it is there. No, it's not. A little two-seamer.
Three balls and a strike. Runner goes, swing and a miss, and a high throw doesn't matter. They still get Bruce. So on a 3-1 pitch, Pena comes up empty, and Bruce is cut down, second of the inning.
I think Brian Price is rolling the dice that Brian Pena would not swing through this pitch right there, because it wasn't a very good jump by Bruce. It almost looked like he was on his way to a delayed steal. And even with just about everything going wrong with the exchange at home and then the throw to second base, the runner's still thrown out.
There's ball four to Pena. So that's a costly, perhaps, throw him out at second base there. You'd have 2 on with only 1 out in the inning instead of 1 out and 2 on away. Take a look at Colorado defensively, presented by Ford. Blackman in center, flanked by Barnes and Paulson. Arenado, the 2-time Gold Glove winning third baseman, and we mentioned LeMahieu, the Gold Glove winner in the National League at second base a season ago. Marlon Byrd checks in as a 203 batter. He had been red hot during the month of May and then really was cooled off the last couple of games of that Giants series, the last time the Reds were at home. And then Byrd on the just completed road trip only had 1 hit in 15 at bats, swung on and missed. 1 ball and 1 strike to Marlon Byrd. Of course, the Reds did not hit much, period, on the road trip through Kansas City and Cleveland. Only scored 3 runs over the last couple of days in that series against the Tribe. Kluber and Bauer in back-to-back games. That one hit down the right field line and slicing foul. Of course, they totaled 6 runs in Cleveland, 7 total runs on the 5-game road trip.
Well, on that road trip, Tom, they face a lot of hard-throwing right-handed pitchers. And the Reds have primarily a right-handed hitting lineup, and it was very tough on this lineup. In fact, Marlon Byrd is kind of the poster child for that, being able to hit lefties very well and struggling against right-handers.
In that Indian series, it was as though you were facing the great Cleveland left-hander Bob Feller for 3 days. Well, every time I see the Tribe, that's always the first name that comes to mind. The great Bob Feller. I know you always love that video of him throwing that pitch in the motorcycle going alongside, trying to gauge how fast it is.
Yes. One of the hardest throwing right-handers ever.
There's a throw to first, and that'll end the inning. Bob Feller won 266 games.
You hear that video?
Struck out over 2,500 hitters. game. Vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Reds.com. Remember now, voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, smartphone. Vote early, vote often at Reds.com. Two-one ball game. The Reds in front after the 2-run home run in the last of the first inning by Todd Frazier. So now Jason Marquis to go to work on 7, 8, and 9 in the Colorado order. Nick Hundley, the former San Diego Padre, turned Baltimore Oriole for a half season in 2014, his first year with the Rockies, to be followed by the former Cardinal Daniel Descalso and Eddie Butler. So no Carlos Gonzalez, no Troy Tulowitzki. They have Justin Morneau on the 7-day concussion DL, and this game is tied if that ball's fair. And it is foul.
Well, he's got 4 of them already this year. And Brian Pena, we've seen him the last couple of days, Tom. I mean, when you're catching this pitching staff right now the way they're going, I mean, you're part pitching coach, you're part cheerleader, you're part big brother. I mean, you're wearing a lot of hats just trying to keep these guys together. I think that conversation went a little deeper than he really likes it right there.
Well, it's more like it. Frazier handles the ground ball and then throws it high. Goodness gracious. Leadoff man aboard.
Now, Frazier's been pretty good defensively all year long. He sets himself up. It looks like he kind of guides that ball over there instead of cutting it loose.
So now the number 8 hitter, Daniel Descalso. Of course, the Reds saw him over the last handful of years wearing a St. Louis Cardinals uniform. Really, his career in St. Louis, he went from a backup player to a player who would get extended periods of time as a starter due to injuries or really ineffective play. And a lot of times that was as a shortstop. Or up until Johnny Peralta arrived, that was a revolving door in St. Louis, and that one is smoked into center field. Error, single, pitcher coming up with nobody out.
Line drive Monday. We've seen some in this ball game, and we're only in the top of the second inning.
Well, you're not lying. Rockets by Arenado and Paulson in the top of the first. Heck, even the final out of the inning was a line drive that knocked the glove off of Marquis, and the ball landed right around Jason's feet.
Well, we're going to find out this young man can bunt.
Fouled away.
A little extra movement right there. You know, he's kind of running out of the batter's box at the same time that he's trying to lay a bunt down.
What are they doing now in the minor leagues, Chris, in regard to pitchers batting? Do you know where that rule stands? It seems to change about every 2 or 3 years.
Oh, I think they're using the DH. I don't think they're using pitchers batting at all anymore. I could be dead wrong, but I think that they're primarily using DH.
Votto. It looked like he was going to third on that ball.
And I'm wondering if he was maybe called off by Brian Pena on that. You know, a lot of times I've always thought that you make your mind up before you get to the ball. When you see the ball come off the bat, if you're Joey Votto, you're thinking, I'm going to third base or I'm going to first. And when you turn like that, look like you're setting yourself up to throw and then decide. If you wait to then to decide, it's going to be too late. You've got to decide ahead of time. That's the whole reason for charging the guy from first base, so you get that lead runner. Got a catcher running.
So runners at second and third. The last rule that I remember in minor league baseball was the pitchers would bat only in AA and AAA when both teams were National League affiliates. Now, in the Pacific Coast League, I remember both teams had to agree to that. That pitch taken low and away. I did not know if they had made some alterations this year.
And you're asking because this young man who just came up, we really don't know what kind of experience he's had at the plate. 0 for 11 is all we know from the big league level. It's a really good question to ask, and I'm wondering if teams believe it's worth their while to give their pitchers even batting practice down there.
Well, the other reason I bring it up too, Chris, is again, it's one of those things where you can get into the whole DH thing. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Everybody seems to have a feeling about it. Will the National League ultimately adopt the designated hitter rule? There are some that say yes. There are many that have been longtime National League fans that say, please don't do it. I think most National League fans don't want to see a DH, but whether or not it happens remains to be seen. 1-2 pitch coming up on Blackman. And it's fouled out of play. I guess the question that I'm getting to is, as long as the National League still does have pitchers hit, I just can't figure out for the life of me why every time a National League team is at home in a minor league game, a National League affiliate, I think it would be very important for you to get that pitcher up to the plate.
At least feeling comfortable about laying a bunt down. Yeah. Yeah, because 10 years ago, when there were 12 runs a game being scored or 15 runs a game being scored, maybe that out at the end of the line didn't mean anything. But now that you have lower scoring game, pitching dominating games, and when moving a run over may mean the difference between winning and losing, why not try to make that in your advantage?
It's a big strikeout there for Marquis, getting Blackman for the second out of the inning. That's Jason's second strikeout of the game.
Took a little bit off that pitch in order to get him. I think this was the changeup, and it was. He throws it like a splitter, and that ball really went down. You see it coming out of his hand like a forkball right there, and good downward break, and Blackman comes up empty. That's a huge out.
Reds in front 2-1, 2 on, 2 out, and here's DJ LeMahieu, who bounced out sharply to Joey Votto his first time up, which advanced a runner from second to third, who ultimately scored in the inning. Pitch and just low. 2 balls and no strikes on DJ LeMahieu.
He got off to a tremendous start this year. He started the year by batting .400 in the month of April. Tailed off a little bit here in the month of May, but overall his numbers are pretty good. And those numbers with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, really good. Product of LSU, DJ LeMahieu.
Two balls and a strike with runners at second and third, and a ground ball back up the middle into center field, a base hit that'll score a couple of runs. So Colorado 1 in the first, Reds get 2 in the bottom of the inning. And the Rockies once again coming up with that big hit with runners in scoring position. A 2-out, 2-run single by LeMahieu.
Well, they'll go down as unearned runs, but they're runs nonetheless when you look at the total scoreboard. And you've got to find a way to put your glove or your body or something in front of this ball to keep it from going right through the box. Looked like Marquis tried. He just couldn't get his glove down there. Yeah, there's that stat again. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, that runner's a scoring position batting average stat doesn't mean anything. It's a matter of luck. But here's a guy that with 2 outs and runners in scoring position is batting over 500, and he just does another one right here. So maybe it's luck, or maybe it's a little bit skill and luck.
I'll take a little luck on my team.
You're right.
There goes a runner, another huge jump. And I mean, there is just 0 chance for Pena.
You know, I'm kind of stunned about that. For a veteran like Jason Marquis, who has been around a long time and is a very good athlete, not to be able to hold the runners a little better. I mean, LeMahieu is never among the leaderboard at the end of the year with stolen bases, is he?
That's his 4th. He's been thrown out 3 times. Now Blackmon is a legitimate base kid. In the hole, and that one bobbled. And LeMahieu's going to stop at third base. I would imagine that's an infield hit all the way after he got past the third baseman Frazier.
I think that ball may have been, I think this Kozar may have been shielded a little bit by that ball when Frazier cuts right in front of him right here. Frazier goes over there. He's thinking, I can get it. Nope, I can't get it. And maybe that split second when it went right below the glove of Frazier caused Kozar to lose it where it was there and kicked it away.
A 2-run Colorado second inning. They're on the corners for Paulson, who singled into right field his first time up. He's up there hacking, grounds it foul wide of first base. 0-1 on Ben Paulson. Paulson made his major league debut in July last year. Had a couple of hits against a team the Reds will see next on this homestand, the Washington Nationals. In fact, Paulson, as a 27-year-old, collected a hit in each of his first 8 major league games. That was his second longest hit streak to begin a career in franchise history to Juan Pierre's 16-gamer. When the Rockies brought him up, Juan Pierre went on to have a very, very good major league career. Swinging a foul ball out of play. I think Juan Pierre just officially retired this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Well, what a career.
Boy, you're not kidding.
Played in a lot of some bad teams to start his career, and then when, man, he went to that Florida Marlins club, he was a man that really set the table for that team that won the World Series in 2003. Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. A big error, 3 hits, 2 runs, 3-2 Colorado after 1.5. Right center today, Tina Cawley from Florence, KY will win this beautiful new Tundra. On display every day at Great American Ballpark, and you can register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer today. We've had scoring in each of the first 3 half innings today. 1 for Colorado, 2 for the Reds, 2 more for Colorado, 3-2 Rockies in front. Cozart, Marquis, Hamilton, 7, 8, 9. First pitch swinging is Cozart. Boy, you're talking about a guy in Butler who has walked more batters this year than he has struck out. In 37 innings, he has walked 25 batters. You're doing him a favor, first pitch Hackett.
You know, you're going to get a fastball or a few fastballs in every at bat. Now, some guys you just don't want to go down the count to, like Corey Kluber. That was a situation where the Reds faced Kluber. And you swing at the first pitch.
There you go. Marquis shoots one into left field. That'll be a double for the Reds pitcher. Well, we told you, Brian Price for the first time. Batting Marquis 8, Billy Hamilton 9. For more on that, we check in downstairs with Jim Day.
Well, Brian Price gave a bit of an explanation of why he was trying this. First of all, he said, you know, when a team struggles like this, you're going to try anything. But he said it didn't make much sense to bat Billy 8th with the pitcher hitting after him and the pitcher bunting. You don't need to bunt Billy Hamilton to second base. He can normally steal his way there. And if he's hitting 8th and he pinch hits, then Billy gets thrown out stealing. They can possibly burn a player. So there's a couple of reasons that he gave for it, but I think the biggest one is what you guys said. Things are going bad, you're willing to try anything to get it going.
By the way, that double, the 35th in the career for Jason Marquis. That is most among all active pitchers. It's his first as a Redleg. All right, Billy at 211 has a tying run out there at second base with 1 out.
You know, I'm a little surprised, Tom, and not that it took Brian Price this long, but it just took Reds baseball overall. What'd you say, 1937? I mean, of all the managers and all the teams where you had a leadoff guy kind of struggling, you go back to the days of Corey Patterson and Willie Taveras. I mean, it would have been ideal guys to be batting in the number 9 spot.
And Mayhew, a nice play to get to that ball to his right and cut it loose in time to get Hamilton. Marquis to third, 2 out. So here's Brandon Phillips. He lined out hard to the center fielder Backman, leading off the Reds' first inning, and there's ball 1. Today, Brandon Phillips' 1,500th career game. And you see with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, 21 at bats, 7 hits, 8 batted in for Brandon Phillips.
You know, we talk about the batting average of a team with runners in scoring position, and that doesn't take into consideration the number of opportunities. But if you look at the raw numbers, the number of hits your team has with runners in scoring position. Coming into this ball game, Rockies lead the league with 108, and the Reds are last with 57. So the Rockies have nearly twice as many.
Was that catch made? It was made. What a play down there by Brandon Barnes. Leaning into the stands. Crashing into that padded concrete wall. Right into the thigh and held on. Nice play by Barnes.
AA, for those who gave everything that we may breathe free. We honor you. I'm Jim Day. The Reds do a terrific job of honoring the men and women of our service academies in the service and giving their service to the United States Armed Forces. And today, a big old salute goes to Private First Class Mike Ford. He was in the U.S. Marines, the 4th Battalion. Served in operations in Somalia and Cambodia. This is another Military Appreciation Day, the second of the season for Cincinnati. And the Reds don't do that just, if you haven't been to GABP, they don't do that just on Military Appreciation Days. They do that every single game with a military member on that dugout. And I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite moments each and every game.
I tell you, I don't know if the Reds were the first team to start that, because we see a lot of teams starting to do it pretty regularly now, but they had to be among the first 2 or 3 to do it in all of Major League Baseball. And I had read sometime back, maybe a year or so ago, that if you were to make Cincinnati as a center point and drew a circle, I think within a 70 or 80, 90 mile radius, something like that, it is one of the largest percentage of the U.S. military in the United States comes inside that circle. That one will bounce up and over the wall. A 1-out double by Barnes, who just made that great play and foul ground a moment ago on Brandon Phillips.
I thought for a moment that Jay Bruce is going to be able to catch this ball, but even though he picked it off the top of the plate, the ball just kept going and going. Really deceptive power right there by Barnes.
Hundley a bouncer to Votto. Foot race to the back here. Marquis will win it. Advancing on to third is Barnes. So Marquis now 1 out away from a scoreless inning, which would be the first for him in 3 today.
They're going to make the pitcher drive the run in if he's going to be able to do it. They're going to walk the Scalzo.
Descalzo singled hard into center field his first time up. And so they'll take their chances with the 0 for 11 Eddie Butler, the pitcher, on deck. The second walk given up by Marquis today. You may remember he walked the first batter of the game on 5 pitches. That was Charlie Blackmon. He stole a base, went to third on a ground out, and scored on a single by Arenado. Well, a reminder coming up a little bit later on, as always, here on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. That is a fair ball. And a favorable bounce right into the belly of Pena. And they give the final out of the inning. Reds come to bat. Last of the third, trailing 3-2.
Growing up in Minnesota, Corey Goodnature was a star athlete who credited wrestling with giving him the drive and discipline needed to become an Army Special Operations pilot. But in 2005, Corey was killed in action while piloting a rescue mission in Afghanistan. Fox Sports honors Chief Warrant Officer Corey Goodnature.
We certainly remember all of those who have served this great country and lost their lives serving the United States of America. They will never be forgotten. And not just on Memorial Day every year, but every day of every year. They should be. Joey Votto leads off the Reds' third inning. He doubled his first time up, lines up to the left fielder Paulson this time. 1 pitch, 1 out. Reds trailing by a run as we begin the bottom of the third inning. Well, for those of you that are in the greater Cincinnati area, you know until today we have not even seen the hint of a cloud over the last 3 days. I don't know if there have been 3 consecutive days more beautiful than we were blessed with Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And today, some clouds, some much needed rain for about an hour and a half earlier this morning. And we're hoping to stay away from the wet stuff, which is in the forecast early this evening. Trying to get this one in here today. Splinters all over the infield. Wow. After that one was hit, it looked like off the end of the bat by Frazier. You know, Chris, you brought up earlier about, the whole debate. We talk about it frequently. How can you qualify, quantify? Are you able to do any of that in regard to why guys hit with runners in scoring position, why teams do it, why they do it some years, why they don't do it other years? And certainly you can go on and on and on. As Frazier hits that ball very hard into straightaway center field, despite chasing that pitch down and away. It's run down by Blackmon. In the Reds' last 38 at-bats as a team with runners in scoring position, 38 at-bats. When Frazier had the home run with Votto at second base in the first inning, that was his second hit in those situations. The Reds, other Reds, not named Frazier, are a combined 0 for 33. Wow. Frazier has 2 hits in his last 5 at-bats with runners in scoring position. The rest of his team without a single hit, spanning 33 consecutive at-bats. Boy, some rockets in that inning. Votto, Frazier, and Bruce, but they go in order. Boy, Butler living right here. Comes to Fox and Fox Sports 1 for the first time. The greatest golfers in the world converge for a chance to stamp their names in the history books. Exclusive coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship from Chambers Bay Golf Course. Begins June the 18th on Fox Sports 1, Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. That'll be exciting for the Fox family having the United States Open.
You're not kidding. You know, you got to be excited. Your good buddy Joe Buck going to be up there along with Greg Norman doing the main call. Of course, they've hired about, I don't know how many different golfers and analysts along the way to give so many different views and looks. Even Northern Kentucky owned Steve Flesch is going to be in the 16th tower.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Excited
I
about
didn't know that.
Coming off a good weekend down in at the Colonial where he made the cut.
So wait a minute now. He is going to be one of the announcers for the U.S. Open. He won't be playing in it?
No. He'll be one of the announcers.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, sharp guy. Not a surprise at all. You talk to him for a couple of minutes and you know that's probably a good calling for Steve Flesch.
Did a nice job in the Golf Channel before Fox took him away. Good move by them.
I guess they've done a couple of other events which I have not seen. I'm not the biggest golf guy in the world, but I think that you said you checked it out.
Well,
Is that right?
I think they did the 4-ball, if that's what it was, and they've got, of course, the ladies' U.S. Open. They're at the senior U.S. Open and the U.S. Amateur, I think.
That fly ball by Blackman will back up Billy Hamilton short of the track. One out as we open the fourth with Colorado leading 3-2.
I probably ought to look all those up before I comment on it, but I'm excited about it.
Fox is trying to make a run at the British Open as well. I saw that headline in the paper about a week ago.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. You know, they ought to get you to pull double duty on that. I mean, I don't know how many guys out there have fired a pair of holes in one. But you just had one a couple of weeks ago, a very established, rock-solid lefty. I mean, you can get out. You think I'm kidding around here? I mean, you could talk about golf on television. You're a television pro. You know about golf. I know you've never been a professional golfer, but you could get out there and talk about it on the 14th green.
Well, some people are realizing now that I talk a lot better game of baseball than I played.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. I wouldn't be surprised if they give you a call about that in the next year or two. There's a bouncing ball to short. 2 away in the other.
I'm sorry I have to tell them it's a package deal. Can't do it by myself without my partner Tom.
Well, you can count me out because you know I'm not a golf guy. MLB.TV Premium allows you to watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Well, I mean, you know, I dabble obviously in some of the other sports. That wouldn't be necessarily, you know, one of them. I used to play a lot of golf and never play anymore. There's a swing and a miss to Arenado. But you are a regular player, a good player, and a professional television announcer. It's a good combination.
Unfortunately, it's the same time of year as baseball, and I could never leave a baseball field for the golf course, at least as an announcer.
Oh, and 2 on Nolan Arenado, back-to-back Gold Glove winning third baseman for these Colorado Rockies.
And back-to-back base hits in this series, but in this game so far. They say his defense, Tom, we've noticed this when he was a rookie, is just sensational, and that ball is really hit.
That is a solo home run for Arenado, his 9th of the year. And his offense is starting to come around along with that good defense. That makes it 4-2 Colorado.
Kind of went down there and golfed it right out of here.
Paulson a base hit. That's his second in 3 at-bats today. We know that Michael Lorenzen will start the game tomorrow for the Reds. And then Wednesday it'll be all of a sudden the slumping Mike Leake, who was among the hottest pitchers in all of Major League Baseball up until his last 3 starts. There's ball 1 low and away to Willeen Rosario. Then the Washington Nationals, the hottest club in the entire National League, will come rolling into Cincinnati. They now have a 2.5 game lead over the Mets in the National League East. We'll see them Friday night, a late Saturday afternoon start time. Don't forget, that is a very rare starting time for the Reds on a Saturday at 4:10. And then 1:10 on Sunday afternoon to wrap it up, and certainly hoping to see Johnny Cueto over the weekend. Well, they're flirting around with maybe a Friday, but we'll see. Force out at second will end the inning, but damage done. The Rockies have scored in 3 of the first 4 frames. A home run by Arenado makes it 4-2 Rockies. By Meyer, by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Mostly cloudy Memorial Day Monday in Cincinnati. And the Reds come to bat against Eddie Butler here in the bottom half of the 4th inning, trailing 4-2. Reds hit 3 rockets for loud outs consecutively in the 3rd inning. Pena trying to bunt his way on to begin the 4th. He walked in the 1st.
Yeah, one guy who's watching the Rockies starter very closely is a former Red. Their pitching coach is Steve Foster. First year on the job. There he is. You may remember Foster pitching relief, mostly in relief. 91, 92, and 93 for the Reds.
Tell you what, he put up really good numbers for the Reds in those 3 years before that shoulder injury ended his career.
Exactly. I mean, an earned run average of 2.4 over about 40 appearances.
Well, broken back flare caught by Arenado.
You know, and I remember, I want to say it had to be around 1993. Maybe it was earlier than that when he was there. And it was my first year as a broadcaster. And Steve, who was not used to going international travel with a ball club, we were all traveling as a team. And back, you remember the old days, Tom, when you go to Montreal, you'd have to get your own bag. You have to take it through security. Well, not only security, but the international border, where you would meet a customs agent from Quebec. And we got in line, and course, they ask you as you go through, do you have anything to declare? And when it got to be Steve Foster's turn.
So the extra bases for Marlon Byrd. And he's in with a 1-out double.
So it got to be Steve Foster's turn. Of course, Foster's from Texas. He had a cowboy hat on, a pair of cowboy boots on. And the agent from the Canadian border asked him, do you have anything to declare, sir? And he wasn't really sure what that meant, I could tell. And he took 2 steps back. He looked around and said, I am proud to be an American.
Good for him.
It was great for him, and he thought he answered it sincerely, which he did. The customs agent broke into laughter and just waved him right on through.
Well, good. At least the guy was cool.
Absolutely
I thought
right
you were going to tell me
no.
all of a sudden, in this day and age, you do something, they throw you in jail.
Well, he knew that he was serious about it, sincere. I thought that was a good Memorial Day story.
That is a great Memorial Day story.
And he still laughs. When I went down to see him before the ball game in the coach's room down there, and we had a pretty good chuckle about that one.
1-0 to Zach Kozak with a runner at second base. Kozak, a fly ball to center, his only time up in the second inning. This one of 5 games already underway on this Memorial Day Monday. The Yankees are just blasting away on Kansas City 11-0. That was the score in the second inning in favor of the Yankees. Now they're in the 4th. Kansas City beat St. Louis 2 out of 3 over the weekend. It's a good looking Kansas City team. Giants underway in Milwaukee. Top of the first inning. And just underway now in Chicago. The Washington Nationals and the Chicago Cubs, 2 of the hotter teams in the National League right now. That's a big series where many are eyeing the matchup of Chris Bryant against the hottest hitter in all of baseball, and that would be Bryce Harper. And I believe that Bryant is older than Harper. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah.
There's ball 4 on a 3-2 breaking ball to Kozar.
Well, you made the comment last time when Kozar led the inning off in the second with a first pitch fly ball to center field, and said at that point, you got to remember this guy has walked more batters than he struck out, so he's had streak of wildness. Give him a chance, and Kozar gives him a chance there. Now with 1 out, the Reds have a couple of runners on. Marquis slashed a double his last time up, so no cakewalk out there for Eddie Butler. Question is, does Brian Price bunt him here with 1 out, or do you let him swing away? Or maybe you give him 1 swing and then you put him on a team assignment of laying a bunt down. Rockies are not playing like they're expecting a bunt at all.
Well, Brian Price, he's just like the rest of us. I mean, he has to bite his tongue a little more than maybe the fan at home, and certainly more than a lot of us who watch the Reds play day in and day out. But man, at this point for this team, the way they're going offensively, to even conceive of giving up an out regardless of who it is in your lineup, it's a pretty tough thing to think about. Marquis gone on strikes. I mean, as a team with less than 2 outs, the Reds are hitting .200 with runners in scoring position. When you put 2 outs in an inning, they're hitting $160. Now, facing Colorado last year put Billy Hamilton in the driver's seat. It's brought to you by Kia. 11 hits and 23 at bats, his highest batting average than against any other team, including 5 extra base hits against Colorado pitching. So let's see if he can continue that into 2015. He bounced out his first time up.
You know, there's so many different ways to dissect that type of a stat. And one is to count the number of players that you've left on base over the course of a year. And the Reds are right in the middle of the pack. They're 9th in the National League in that respect. So they're not hitting well with runners in scoring position, but they're not getting a ton of chances either. In fact, the Rockies have left about 30 fewer runners on base than the Reds have this year, primarily because they've got 50 more hits with runners in scoring position. So they're not getting any more opportunities. They're just taking advantage this year. They may not do it next year, but this year they're falling in for them.
Three and one to Billy, with Brandon Phillips hoping for a chance on deck. Billy loops one into center field, a base hit. This will bring in Marlon Byrd. Throw goes to third, safe there. And a 2-out run scoring single by Hamilton makes it a 1-run game.
Nothing better than driving it in with 2 outs, and Billy does that. Gets a little bit on the trademark right there, but who cares? In the no man's land, right center field. Bird scores no problem, and not even hesitating at all is Cozart. That's where the throw goes. He goes in easily at third base. So now you wonder, will Brandon Phillips give Billy Hamilton a pitch or two to try to let him get the second base? Steve Foster out to talk to his young right-hander. I imagine that Eddie Butler kind of reminds Steve Foster of Steve Foster. He was in the minor leagues with the Kansas City Royals for many years before just being hired this last year and placed as a major league pitching coach for the Rockies.
Yeah, he was working in the front office of the Kansas City Royals. He had been a pitching coach in a couple of other organizations up through the minor league systems.
And a bullpen coach with the Royals.
All right, now Brandon Phillips has a tying run at third, the go-ahead run at first. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning of a 4-3 Colorado lead. 2 out. And a bouncer right at Arenado. That's the wrong guy to hit it to. Hitting over. But the Reds get 1 back. We move to the 5th, where the Rockies in game 1 of this 3-game series lead by a run. supports Folds of Honor and its mission of providing educational scholarships to families of military members who have been killed or disabled while serving our great country. If you'd like more information, please visit foxsportssupports.com. The Folds of Honor Foundation. Jason Marquis begins the top of this 5th inning and lets it fly. Brandon Barnes way out in front, hooks it foul, down a strike.
Well, what Marquis has had today is a pretty good splitter. That's where he's got his strikeouts. He got key strikeouts in the 2nd inning. Both of those pitches that were down that have a lot of downward movement, those are the ones that are coming in. If you're watching your screen, the bottom part of your screen, or the radar gun reading will be somewhere around 79, 80 miles an hour on that splitter.
Barnes, a line drive back to the mound that knocked the glove off of Marquis. But when it hit the glove, the ball dropped right on top of the mound. Marquis picked it up, threw him out, and then Barnes doubled down the right field line. A ground rule double his last time up. Jam shot, fly ball, short left. Marlin there, 1 out. Following our game today and every game right here on Fox Sports Ohio, please stick around afterwards for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day will be standing by in the Fox Sports Ohio condominium. He's been out of the friendly confines for a little more than a week, and he'll be right back with some of his very close personal friends after the ball game today. Last time I saw Jim, he was suffering from a little vertigo and was not doing well at all. He was a gamer that hung in there, Chris, with us in Kansas City. And Jim, I take it you were feeling better over the weekend?
I am feeling much better, Tom.
Look out.
Much better. Can't feel much worse than I did that last game in Kansas City.
And I felt badly for you. We were trying to talk into, maybe going back to the hotel or finding a place to lay down for a little while. You wouldn't do it. This will make you lay down. Man, that is scary stuff right there.
Ooh, chuck and duck. And that ball gets on you just so fast that you may ask at home, well, why didn't he put his glove up? Well, you're just worried about getting your head out of the way.
Swing and a miss. Not as good a jump this time. A hit and run put on there, and easily thrown out. The catcher is Hundley.
Well, you're looking at a couple of managers here. Walt Weiss and Brian Price pulling all sorts of tricks out of their hats here this afternoon.
In the air, right center. Hamilton to track it down. That'll end the inning. A scoreless inning. Reds will bat last to the 5th, trailing 4-3. Washington Nationals in town. We'll have the big fireworks Friday night show presented by KOI Auto Parts. 513-381 REDS. And again, a reminder, that's 7:10 Friday, 4:10 on Saturday, 1:10 on Sunday. And the Reds will leave for just 3 days and then right back on the home front. They'll go to Philadelphia for a 3-game series.
Oh boy. Let's go.
And then we get a look at San Diego and Philadelphia on the following homestand that begins on June the 5th. Padres in for 3, Philadelphia in for 3. Reds down a run, they bat in the 5th inning. Joey has doubled the left, scored on the Frazier home run in the 1st inning, and then hit a line drive right at the left fielder Paulson, who caught it in the 3rd. High fly ball down the left field line. Circling that thing out there and finally able to corral it is Paulson.
Well, Paulson may look a little shaky on that, mainly because he is a first baseman by trade. He really had not played any outfield at all. Played a little bit in the minor leagues before they brought him up here, but he's primarily a guy that plays in the infield, and he looked like it on that fly ball. Wind all of a sudden has really picked up, blowing very hard now from right to left.
On the very first inning of that Nationals Cubs game, Chris Bryant homered to the bleachers in left field. 1-1 game.
Anybody in those bleachers yet?
Jam-packed in left field.
Okay.
Ground ball down to third base. That's a second out of the inning. Yeah, they opened those. I think it was the last homestand, maybe the last series of the last homestand. And of course, right field they won't open this entire year, but man, they are packed in there, out into center and left center.
Reds will be up there
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, the 11th, 12th, and 13th and 14th, a 4-game series.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Thursday through Sunday of June.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously that's a trip a lot of Reds fans like to try and make if they're able to. A long weekend in Chicago. Weather, you'd like to think, would be a little better up there by then. If I'm not mistaken, that goes day game on Thursday, day game on Friday, night game Saturday, day game Sunday, and be careful of that Sunday game, because I guess that is one of the games that at least is on the list to potentially be a Sunday night game. And I think the decision has to be made on that sometime later this week. So we'll keep you posted as soon as we find out. Bruce breaks his bat, but lines one into center field for a 2-out single. His second hit today.
Bruce really got down there and stayed on that pitch. He is definitely making some progress as far as keeping his front side in and able to get some plate coverage out of it.
So now Brian Pena. Pena has walked and bounced or popped up to third. And he looks at a strike knee high on the outside corner. Back up through the middle. LeMahieu will play to first. Boy, that's a pretty slick play right there.
Gold Glover.
We've played 5. Rockies lead 4-3.
available online at allstargame.com. And unfortunately, one of those all-stars, at least last year, all-star catcher Devin Mesoraco, placed on the 15-day disabled list today. It's retroactive, and also Manny Parra is back in the bullpen, which is good news for the Reds. If he's healthy, he's shown he can be very, very good. I'm Jim Day, and let's talk about the unusual story of Sean Marshall. I know what you're saying out there. What more can be added to this story? Well, as we found out this past week, a lot. In fact, Marshall was in the clubhouse today sharing his story. He had his second surgery to repair a labrum this past Wednesday, but when they went in there to repair it, they found out there was nothing at all wrong with it. A pocket of fluid had developed around the shoulder area, which gave a false reading on the MRI. Sean Marshall says he went into this surgery. And by the way, when you have 2 shoulder surgeries, usually your career most likely is done. He said he went into the surgery just hoping that one day he could throw batting practice to his kids. He wakes up after surgery and they tell him there's nothing wrong with your shoulder. In fact, you can throw in about 6 weeks. Brian Price hasn't ruled out him pitching for the Reds this season. Who knows? It's a shoulder injury. You never know if he's going to make it back. But Brian Price and the medical staff called it a miracle that this is happening, that he perhaps make it to a major league field one day again.
That really is an incredible story. Incredible. We had heard about it while we were in Kansas City and couldn't believe it. And I know Dr. Timothy Kremchek couldn't believe it.
And a really good break for Sean Marshall. Good guy. Boy, so much was expected out of Marshall when he came over here from the Cubs based on what he did initially when he took the ball. And they expected to have him and to be the main left-handed specialist coming out of the bullpen for years to come, and unfortunately sidetracked by that injury. So I'm really glad to hear that for him. He's good people. Blackman, if I'm not mistaken, he came in last year with the Rockies and just completely went off. I know career-wise he's in 350 with 3 home runs against the Reds. He doesn't face them that much. But I think most of that damage was done right here.
Well, you're not lying.
He likes
he
that
might
low
have been
ball,
the best player in the series we saw all year long.
I think you're right. I mean, he really likes that low ball. I mean, he went right down there to get it. And if I'm not mistaken, he'll be around. He'll be around for a little reenactment. Civil War reenactment, I think, after the game's going on tonight.
Well, it is Memorial Day.
Which used to be Decoration Day. Initially started to honor those who lost their lives in the Civil War.
Wow, nice little history lesson today. Well done. Now, Blackman easily stole a base back in the first inning. They pitch out this time. Rockies are 2 out of 3 in stolen base attempts today. Pena cut down the catcher Hundley in the 5th inning. That's why I was really surprised. And Chris, I don't know. Go ahead. You're getting ready to say.
It wouldn't take long for Votto to grow one like that, do you think?
Well, I don't know. We've seen Joey, start to grow a pretty decent. I mean, obviously nothing like that.
I mean, like an 1860s version.
Oh, I think you could definitely do it.
Big jump, pitch out.
Pitch out again, and they got him this time. Whoa! How did they not get him?
Tagged him high, I think, is the reasoning behind that call at second base by Tim Welke. Well, they looked at the replay here on the big board at the stadium. We take another look at it. They're kind of wasting time behind the mound right here, waiting for Rob Coughlin to give an indication up to Brian Price whether it's worth asking for a review.
He's safe. I mean, that tag came up around the rib cage.
Got to be conclusive. Boy, I'm not so sure they're going to get enough evidence there, and they're just going to go ahead and not review it at all. A better system this year.
Oh, yeah, much better.
Quicker.
I tell you, you really do give the people, and remember a year ago we were talking about, replay and the expanded use of replay in baseball, and Chris, you and I were privy to hear from Tony La Russa, Joe Torre, Bobby Cox. All three of them were very, very much involved into not only the ideas about replay, where you could use it, when you can't use it, but then putting a lot of those ideas to paper, which, as many of us know, it can be one of the toughest things to do. And so there were a lot of other people involved. I'm not suggesting they were the only three, but they were heavily involved. And they said at the time, look, we know there are going to be hiccups in this thing, and we will address those not after a season is over, but we will address those during a season if things come up that we don't like. There's a fly ball to right for the second out of the inning, and we saw some of that last year. They've done a real nice job now working in concert with the edict by a committee, and certainly spearheaded by the new commissioner in Rob Manfred, about speeding up the pace of play. And it's gone hand in hand with replay here this year. Matthews was getting loose in the Reds bullpen, and it looks like with LeMahieu coming up, the Reds are going to go to their bullpen, and it will be Matthews, I'm sorry, to face Arenado after LeMahieu just made the second out of the inning. So this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Rockies in front by a run. 1 on, 2 out in the 6th. Back in a moment.
By authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
4-3 ball game. Colorado in front of the Reds. Runner at second base with 2 away, and on to face Nolan Arenado is right-hander Ryan Matthews. Arenado 3 for 3 today. Runner takes off for third, and they don't even look at it.
Quite frankly, I'm surprised it took Blackman so long to do that, because there was nobody holding him on. And had he stolen that base a pitch earlier, he would have scored on a fly ball to right field.
Blackman with 3 stolen bases in the game today.
Well, Arenado, the reason they got Marquis out of there, he had a perfect game going. A couple of base hits and then a home run and a long one.
And 3 straight balls off the right hand of Matthews. You got Paulson due up next. Takes a 3-0 hack. No activity in the Reds bullpen. I mean, Matthews is coming on already with 2 outs in the inning. Fly ball left field. Matthews does the job. Fell behind 3-0, gets it to 3-1 and gets the out. Reds have Bird, Cozart, pitcher spot coming up, trailing 4-3.
A standout high school football player from Texas, Jeremy Border played 4 years at McMurray College before enlisting in the Army. Displaying the same leadership and hard work as he did on the field, he earned his Green Beret while serving as a Special Forces weapons sergeant. But in 2012, Jeremy was killed in action while defending his fellow soldiers in Afghanistan. Fox Sports honors Staff Sergeant Jeremy Border.
On this Memorial Day, USAA honors those who gave everything in their service to our great country, the United States of America. Reds will bat against Eddie Butler here in the bottom half of the 6th inning, trailing 4-3 in the first of a 3-game series. Bird hooks one foul down the third baseline. Marlin has bounced to third and doubled that way, later scoring in the 4th inning. Reds trying to rally and put an end to this 8-game losing streak, and Bird has tied the game.
Flick of the wrist right there for Marlon Bird. That ball actually on the inner part of the plate, thinking use the entire field. He puts a fat part of the bat on it. Well, that's a nice compact swing when he stays behind the ball like that.
Shortstop pickup down at third by Arenado. He will throw out Kozai. 1 out now in a 4-4 game. Reds have scored single runs in the 4th inning, and then that home run by Bird to rally from a 4-2 deficit.
Bosch will get a chance. He had a couple of starts on back-to-back days in that Cleveland series.
There's a bouncer over the third baseman's head into left field. A pinch hit single by Bosch. So he represents a go-ahead run with a 1-out base hit. Marquis allows 2 earned runs, 4 total runs in 5 2/3 innings. Ryan Matthews retired the only batter he faced in getting the final out of that 6th inning. Hamilton, a 2-out run scoring single his last time up, shows bunt. Butler misses up and away, ball 1.
Now the Rockies are playing a couple of steps in at the bag. The third baseman Arenado is about the best there is in the business defensively. Trying to take away that bunt from Hamilton, just kind of trying to discourage him.
We mentioned in Major League Baseball at 3 o'clock will participate in the National Moment of Remembrance, a moment of silence at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's just within the next minute or 2. Baseball has participated in the program since 1997 to honor soldiers who lost their lives during active military duty. And I would imagine that moment of silence will come at the conclusion of this at bat to Billy Hamilton. The clock has just struck 3 o'clock Eastern Time on this Memorial Day 2015. Diving play by Arenado. Wow. Drawn in on the infield grass and would not let that shot get by him.
You know, the ironic thing about it is if Arenado is not playing in to defend the bunt, that ball would have easily gone into the hole there. He kind of cut off the angle by coming in a little bit, but it took a very quick reaction by Arenado to snag it.
Strike 1 to Brandon Phillips. 0 for 3 today. His line to center. Fouled out to right and bounced to third his last time up. And a fly ball in a straightaway center field will end the Reds' 6th inning, but they get a home run, a game-tying home run off the bat of Marlon Byrd. So we go to the 7th, where the Rockies and the Reds are tied at 4. And as we mentioned a moment ago, today Major League Baseball and its teams participating in the National Moment of Remembrance, a moment of silence
We ask
to honor soldiers who lost their lives during active military duty.
dignified expression of our gratitude to the heroes who lost their lives while protecting the freedoms we enjoy today. Thank you. On behalf of Major League Baseball, we thank you for joining us in the National Moment of Remembrance. And let's continue to play ball.
Nationals right here at Great American Ballpark, part of our Super Saturdays. And the first 25,000 fans in attendance this Saturday receive a Billy Hamilton bobblehead presented by Cincinnati Bell. 513-381 Reds. The number to dial. You can always visit select Kroger locations or log on to Reds.com/tickets. All right, we start anew here in the top of the 7th inning. A 4-4 game. Reds will go to their bullpen and bring on the right-hander Jumbo Diaz.
He has been one of the more dependable bullpen guys out there. His blemish on the year really was the 5 runs he gave up in a game against the Milwaukee Brewers that sets that earned run average way off. 20 games now for Jumbo, just a little bit more than 17 innings.
Be facing Paulson, Rosario, and Barnes. It's 5, 6, and 7. 4, 5, and 6, pardon me, in the Colorado batting order under their manager Walt Weiss.
You think Paulson's a pretty big guy. I mean, he's 6'4", about 215. Then you compare him to Jumbo. Paulson spent 7 years in the minor leagues after being drafted out of Clemson as a first baseman. Played all the way through the minor leagues as a first baseman, but when he gets a shot in the big leagues, he's got to play outfield.
Well, unless the guy is a sure bet, bona fide big league everyday player, you're starting to see some teams play around with guys to learn other positions very early on in the minor leagues. We've seen a lot of that, or guys that come up as one thing and maybe a major league team sees them in a different position in grading out moving forward.
Well, in a case like Paulson, you really wonder, well, maybe catching would have been something he would have considered. He's one of those cross-dominant hitters, meaning he throws right-handed and he hits left-handed. Well, think there are a lot of teams out there always looking for a left-handed hitting catcher. Of course, the Reds have two because both their guys, Barnhart and Brian Pena, are switch hitters.
So a strikeout for Jumbo to begin this 7th inning, and now it's Rosario. Well, he was fooled badly by that pitch. Strike one. Troy Tulowitzki's already standing down there in that Colorado dugout with batting gloves on each hand.
Well, if you're a starter in this Red Series and you take a look at the lineup and you see neither name, Tulowitzki or Carlos Gonzalez. Now, granted, they're not hitting like they did at the very top peaks of their years, but still, nice to see them out of the lineup.
And the fact that you're also catching them when they don't have Dickerson. He's on the disabled list. They don't have Justin Morneau. He's on the 7-day concussion inactive list, disabled list. It's a Colorado team that is coming off a 4-game weekend series against the Giants. Obviously a Giants team we saw last weekend for 4 games when they beat the Reds 3 out of 4. The Giants beat Colorado the first 2. The Rockies pounded Giants pitching over the last 2 games.
Well, they really, you know, you bring up Corey Dickerson, they really feel that young man. He's hitting 300 now. He's on the DL with a foot injury, but they feel like he's got a shot at winning a batting title at some point. They really like him. He's only 26 years old. Batted .312 last year with 24 home runs, and he was off to another good start this year.
Three-2 pitch and gone on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball up in the strike zone is Rosario.
Jumbo reaches back for a little extra hot sauce right here, and we'll call that our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce.
Back-to-back strikeouts for the big man out of the Reds bullpen, and here comes Brandon Barnes, 1 of 3. He had a double, a one-hopper that bounced into the stands into right field in the 3rd inning. Check swing and a miss. That's a pitch that has fooled each of the last 2 batters. On the first pitch of their respective at-bats.
Well, you figure you're going to face Jumbo, you know, and everybody talks about his fastball. And he's throwing it at 98, so it's worthwhile talking about it. But if you're looking for that and get something else, you can often get caught off guard because you got to start that swing so early. So you get ahead of the breaking ball and behind the fastball.
Jumbo trying to strike out the side. Here's the 0-2 pitch coming to Brandon Barnes, and he got a piece of it, fouling it straight back to the screen. Night game tomorrow night, 12:35 game against these Rockies to wrap up their lone trip to Cincinnati this summer. That'll be on Wednesday afternoon, an off day for the Reds on Thursday, although a big event down here at the ballpark Thursday night. Chris, are you a part of that? Ladies' night out?
I am not a part of that, but I understand you and your dad are the main event.
We are. Well, I don't know about the main event. I think they enjoy the time on the field, getting a chance to take batting practice and to throw pitches in the bullpen and take ground balls and that kind of thing in the infield. I think it's probably their highlight. I think by the time they get to us upstairs as they rotate around.
Oh, so you're not going to be wearing a uniform that night?
Oh, no.
I was under the impression you were going to be down there hitting some ground balls.
No, I'll get it some fungos.
Okay.
But no, be up here in the writer's box. They come rolling in. And we had a great time last year. Looking forward to it on Thursday night. Reds only off day at home.
So
in quite some time where they're not traveling.
You take questions, do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the ladies are great. Golly day. Last year's the first year they did it. It's the first time we had a chance to do it. It was just terrific. And Jumbo, fans aside. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 7th. Votto, Frazier, and Bruce coming up in a 4-4 contest. And as we do everyday game here at Great American Ballpark, but especially today on this Memorial Day Monday, we will proudly stand as one here at Great American Ballpark for the singing of God Bless America.
Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Rockies salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service as we continue to recognize America's Memorial Day holiday and welcome back Wright Brass from the United States Air Force Band of Flight as they perform God Bless America.
To the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, thanks to Fox. For you and 3 of your closest pals or family members, upload 2 photos at foxsports.com/fantastic-all-star right now, and you only have until June the 3rd to get them in, so please do so ASAP. Rockies going to go to their bullpen. Christian Friedrich will take over on the mound, replacing the starter Eddie Butler. And he delivers ball one high to the left-handed batting Joey Votto.
Yeah, a couple of next three batters are left-handed, Votto and then Frazier, then Bruce. So that's why you're seeing Friedrich here. 27-year-old left-hander, a native of Evanston, Illinois, but he played for the Colonels down there for the Eastern Kentucky University in Richmond. Rockies got him first-round pick in 2008.
Now, we were talking earlier about some college baseball teams that we know are in the upcoming NCAA tournament, the sub-regionals, which will begin this coming weekend. And Louisville, one of the host schools, having a great year, had a great regular season. Ohio University playing in that tournament. You mentioned Wright State qualified for that tournament just up the road in Dayton. Do I understand that that your alma mater, the University of South Florida Bulls, have qualified for the NCAA tournament as well?
Yeah, they're in there also. They, I believe, are playing in the Gainesville Regional, which will include Florida, Florida A&M, Florida Atlantic, and South Florida.
Well, that is a school that has been had a hard time getting out of its own home regional over the last number of years as the University of Florida Gators. Votto gone swinging. So that might play well for the Bulls.
You never know. You get hot, you throw a couple of good pitchers out there. It's a fun time of year because you got to consider that just about every one of those universities, they're finished with classes for the summer. Most of them finish sometime in mid-May. The ball team is hanging around. Maybe the softball team too. I know the lacrosse was just wrapped up, I think, this past weekend.
Well, today, at last check, ironically, here the Reds are playing the Colorado Rockies, and the school that is gunning for its first ever national championship, become a powerhouse in college lacrosse, is the University of Denver. They were playing Maryland for the national championship today in Philadelphia, and at last check had a pretty significant lead, and Maryland is not known as a big powerhouse offensive team. Of course, Denver was a team that ousted the Ohio State Buckeyes in the round of 8. And stunned Notre Dame in the national semifinals 2 days ago, the top-ranked team in the country all year long. That's an exciting sport. They just cranked up the high school tournament. Of course, a big powerhouse team in our area is in Division II, and that would be Marymount High School. They are the back-to-back defending state champions under their head coach Steve Peterson out at Marymount. Saw where they won their first game over Oakwood, a suburb of Dayton, a couple of nights ago. Three and two still on Frazier. Fly ball down the right field line. This guy can go get him out there. He made a nice play already today, did Brandon Barnes, and able to get to that one 2 out.
Barnes went a long way. Watch it. It goes right into the first row of the seats right there. Reaches in, nearly falls in entirely, and comes up with the baseball to end the inning. That was a dandy. A little Fox vision on that one.
Breaking ball, strike one at Jay Bruce. Been a good day for Jay. A couple of singles and 3 at bats. His only out was a line out to the third baseman. And he has another hit.
Just kind of laid his bat out there, didn't he? Keeping it simple.
Well, you'd love to have this inning continue for the man in the on-deck circle who has a double and a home run in each of his last 2 at-bats. That's Marlon Byrd. Brian Pena, the man trying to keep it alive for him. As Bruce represents a go-ahead run at first. With 2 away here in the 7th inning of a 4-4 game.
Well, with 3 knocks now for Jay Bruce, that is his second 3-hit game of the year. The other one came about a week ago when the Giants were in town. Things are picking up for the Reds right fielder.
Batting average up over 225 now, and you say, well, big deal. Well, that is a big deal, considering he was in the 160s about a week ago. Hooked into left field, a base hit. Pena his first hit today, so the inning will continue for Marlon Byrd, and he has a chance to give the Reds a lead. They have not led since getting the 2-run home run by Frazier in the bottom of the 1st inning.
I don't think he's going to have a chance, Byrd that is, to face the left-hander. I think that Walt Weiss has seen enough of Byrd against right-handers that he's never going to take a chance with a southpaw out there. It looks like a double switch coming up.
Well, we're going to get a look at the slowest worker in Major League Baseball history still. Rafael Betancourt will come on to face Marlon Byrd in a 4-4 game, 2-on, 2-out. We call it Reds Alive here on Fox Sports Ohio. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Tomorrow, Reds Alive comes your way 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Right-hander Michael Lorenzen back in the starting rotation for the Reds, and he'll be opposed by the left-hander Jorge De La Rosa. Our game coverage begins at 7. no television on Wednesday. All right, here's Betancourt, veteran right-hander, on to face Marlon Byrd. Reds have the go-ahead run at second base with 2 away. This guy's been a pretty good pitcher for a while.
Well, I mean, he just turned 40 years old, and he had Tommy John surgery at 39. So it's a medical miracle in some ways that he's back on the mound pitching major leagues, not just pitching, but throwing the ball pretty well. He has 19 strikeouts in 16 innings.
And only 2 walks. And Byrd first pitch swinging lifts a routine fly ball to right, and that'll do it. So the Reds strand 2. They've left 8 in the game. We go to the 8th inning in a 4-4 contest. Nothing. It didn't last long in the bottom of the first inning. Todd Frazier hitting home run number 13. But that lead would not last long, because in the second inning, with 2 outs, DJ LeMahieu, a bouncer into center field, plating a pair. 3-2 Colorado lead. They make it 4-2 with a home run by Arenado in the 4th inning. Reds got a run back in the bottom of that inning, and then would tie the game in the 6th. Marlon Byrd, an opposite field home run. Jumbo Diaz struck out the side in the 7th. Reds stranded 2 in the bottom of the inning, and here we are in the 8th. Left-hander Tony Cingrani takes over on the mound.
Well, both of these managers are doing their best to earn their money here this afternoon. They have both put on different types of offensive plays, like hit and run, stolen bases, and so on. They've been to the bullpen many times. This is the 4th pitcher of the day now for the Reds and Cingrani, after a perfect strike them all out inning by Jumbo Diaz. Came in the ball game yesterday against the other day against the Indians. The Corey Kluber game ended up getting the loss in that game with an inning of work where after he walked the leadoff batter. I really believe that he would get better, especially from a standpoint of control, with the more work he got, more consistent work, the more you're going to be able to keep that rest from accumulating and be sharper with your pitches.
Hundley followed by Descalso. And then we shall, well, they made a double switch. I beg your pardon. Rafael Inoa, I believe, came on. when Betancourt entered the game, and Betancourt needed one pitch to get an out. Two and two. Over the last 2 years, the Rockies lead the series against the Reds 8-5. They have won 8 of the last 12 games. Reds have really struggled in Denver. They have lost 17 of the last 24 they have played out west. And boy, they've had some heartbreakers. Of course, a lot of teams have heartbreakers in Colorado.
That's really the odd thing about this Rocky team this year, that they have really struggled at home, unlike any other Rocky team. They are 8-13 at home, 5 games under. They're 4 games under on the road. Make it 3 under on the road coming in today. Normally Rockies just get all their action done at home.
Brandon Phillips with a diving stab on the liner by Hundley.
We're the second look right here. A line drive destined to be an out. Only if Brandon Phillips can glove it on the dive.
That one may have hurt a little bit. That's another little thing about baseball I've always wondered about, because you see players all the time when they dive, whether it's a slide or whether it's a diving play like that, and oftentimes you'll ask them, and they'll talk about the belt buckle. I've always wondered why they didn't make a move to go to something else instead of that metal belt buckle with baseball players' uniforms. You're diving on top of some metal.
Yeah.
Why they didn't go to, I don't know, some kind of cloth, maybe it wouldn't hold up as well.
He hasn't moved since he made that dive.
No.
He just kind of stayed there and maybe trying to get his breath. I mean, rarely do you ever see Brandon Phillips when a pitch is delivered with his hands on his knees.
You're right. I mean, he has not moved since he made that catch. He'll watch Billy drift into left center to make this catch. 2 up, 2 down for Cingrani. Now the Reds in the bottom of the 8th inning, and what a time it would be to come up with that tie-breaking run. They would have Kozite followed by the pitcher spot, and Billy Hamilton. Then you'd roll back over to the top of the order in Brandon should you get further than that. Four runs, 10 hits. 8 left for Colorado. 4 runs, 11 hits. 8 left for the Reds. Strike one. First at bat for Rafael Inoa.
We're talking about the Rockies and their inability this year to win at home. If you go back to the last time they made the playoffs in 2009, they were 1 game over on the road, but they really wiped up at home. They were 51-30 at home. So that's a much more typical Rocky ball club, is kind of the way we remember. This year, muddling through an 11-game losing streak. They're trying to figure out whether they're a good team playing bad or just a bad team.
Gone swinging Inoa, and Cingrani with a perfect 8th inning. So excellent work by the Reds bullpen today at Matthews, Jumbo, and Cingrani. 4-4, Reds coming up in the 8th.
GABP. I'm Jim Day. Let's give you a quick update on Johnny Cueto. Skipped in the rotation this past weekend, which was deemed as general tightness in his elbow. Now, Brian Price said before today's game that he will get the once-over by medical director Dr. Timothy Krimchek. They want to do their due diligence because he hasn't fully come out of those extra days off of that tightness in his elbow. So he'll get an MRI and everything they do, all the tests that they would do to do the due diligence. And it always just makes you wonder a little bit when they say he hasn't come out of it. Indeed, the Reds have their fingers crossed that it is not worse than just general tightness. We'll keep you updated.
All right, James, thank you very much. You are right about that. Reds batting in the last of the 8th inning in a 4-4 game, and straight up in the air on a swing by Cozart, an easy out number 1 for Betancourt. Cingrani works a perfect 8th inning. He'll be taken down for a pinch hitting. And that'll be Skip Schumacher. He got starts, you may remember, the last couple of days in Cleveland yesterday or 2 days ago for Marlon Byrd, out in left field against Corey Kluber. Strike 1. And 2 starts out in left field at Schumacher, doubled. One of his 2 hits in 9 at bats on the just completed road trip through Kansas City and Cleveland. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pulled badly there, 1-2.
You know what Betancourt does, and he's been doing it for a long time. He's had, I think he's in his 13th year as a major leaguer. Didn't make the major leagues until he was 28 years old. But he has always had, as you said, Tom, a very deliberate style, but just pinpoint control.
Again in the air in foul territory over by Arenado, and he tries to go into the stands to get it. Did he make that play? Wow.
Wow is right.
The two-time Gold Glove winning Colorado third baseman Nolan Arenado. We've seen him make spectacular plays over the last 2 years, and that is yet another.
Well, he spit his gum out as soon as he came back over the wall right there, and I'm wondering if he maybe didn't hurt his throat or chin area as he went over the side of the concrete embankment there. I mean, he got through the wall in plenty of time, took his eye off the ball once, and now he's ready to go, and then realizes the ball's a little farther behind him than he thought. And who knows what he hit on the other side of that wall.
Looks like his chin may have come down right around that woman's lap, maybe in the cement.
Oh, no,
Yep.
He's got his chin there on that little cement bracing.
Yep. He's going to stay in the game and then flips it ball back into the seats.
Oh, my. You know, Billy Hamilton's up now. You got 2 outs after that pop-up. And Arenado just took a beating going into the stands right here. If you're going to lay down a bunt on the third baseline, first pitch right here would be the time to do it.
Arenado about 2 steps in on the grass over at third. Hamilton 1 of 3. He lined out on a diving play made by Arenado his last time up, after Hamilton had knocked in a run with a 2-out single to center in the 4th inning. Two and 0 to Billy Hamilton. Two and 2.
Well, really a tale of survival for Rafael Betancourt. I forgot it was originally signed by the Red Sox, released as a minor leaguer a couple of years later. That's when he went over to play in Japan.
Into left field, that'll retire the side, and Betancourt with a 1-2-3-8. So Aroldis Chapman will pitch in the 9th of a 4-4 game. plural today, brought to you by Miller Lite. We have seen some outstanding defensive plays in this one very early on. Second inning on a foul ball. Barnes going into the stands. Made a catch. We saw Brandon a moment ago diving to his right. Taking away a hit by Hundley. And then the play of the game right there by Arenado. He's made so many of those just in his first, really 2 full seasons and nearly 2 full months. All right, 4-4 game. Aroldis Chapman will come on out of the Reds bullpen. Chapman has just been spectacular this year. Of course, the way things have gone here lately, Chris, it has been a long time, what with an 8-game losing streak, that the Reds have summoned Chapman from their bullpen to try and nail down a save.
Yeah, you'd hope that he would have more than 18 innings at this point in the year, and of course more saves than he has up there right now. He's perfect 7 for 7 in that category. But his strikeouts are typically way up. 29 of those in only 18 innings. So he is delivering the cheese at the plate, just like always.
Chapman, a 3-time All-Star in each of his first 3 full seasons in the major leagues. He's gone to the All-Star game and will unquestionably go there again this year. Each time selected by his peers. Top of the order.
Now, Tom, you know how that peer voting works? Do the National League players vote only for National League All-Stars?
I think so.
Because I can't imagine any American League player voting for Aroldis Chapman. An everyday player.
No, you're right. Good point. But those National League guys want him on their team, at least for 1 game. You know, but it is interesting when you get into talking about it for so long. You know, we've had the debate about, you know, should writers be the only ones that vote for those that are inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and then that Veterans Committee was sort of reworked where now it's exclusively those that are already in the Hall of Fame that every other year have a chance to vote for players, whether they be peers, contemporaries of many of them, depending on what era they came up in, and how in what 2 of the 4 times they've had a chance to put a player into the Hall of Fame, those that already are in the Hall of Fame had not put a player in the Hall of Fame. And then for a long time you had you know, coaches and managers that had a chance to vote for the Gold Glove Award, and how, you know, the one in Texas comes to mind immediately, how Rafael Palmeiro one year played less than a dozen games at first base and was voted by the coaches around the American League as a Gold Glove winning first baseman. There is ball 4 to Blackmon to open up the Colorado 9th inning.
I think the fans in the stands that you hear hooting right now are hooting on the, not this last pitch, but the pitch before. Pitch number 4 they thought was a strike. A leadoff walk here in the 9th inning.
Well, you got to believe Blackman's going to be off to the races, left-hander or not.
So, but you know that Chapman has a good move. So if you're Aroldis Chapman, or if you're Jay Bell or whoever's holding, you know, controlling the running game, you got to throw over at least a couple times, right?
Yep. You called it.
And about Blackmon, I'm thinking he's coming over again. The question is, have the Rockies done enough research to know if Chapman has ever gone over 3 times in a row?
There's twice. And certainly that move would allow Chapman to say, or Blackmon to say, okay, well, I can probably extend that lead a little bit more now.
Well, the other way to do it if you're Blackmon is have a one-way lead. As soon as he lifts his foot up, you go back to the bag just to make him come on over again.
Trying to bunt against Chapman is LeMahieu, and it's fouled all the way back into over the screen for strike 1. Chapman has not had a save chance since a week ago last Thursday. That was the last time the Reds won a game, the first game of that Giants 4-game weekend series on a Thursday night. Strike 2.
Got the slider in there.
Blackmon has 3 stolen bases in the game already today. That is a single game career high for Charlie. And that bleeder's going to fall in a hit. Can you believe that? And all the way to third goes Blackmon.
Well, it looked like that Aroldis Chapman shook off the fastball in order to get to the slider, and he jams the hitter LeMahieu here pretty good with it. There it is coming off the side of the ball, and you see the spinning hard in there, right in on the trademark of the bat, and somehow that ball falls in there for a base hit. You know, I may be making nothing out of or something out of nothing, Tom, but just Chapman's body language today, coupled with the fact that he's not throwing a ball harder than 96 miles an hour. Now, with any pitcher, you say, well, that's pretty good. But with Chapman, that's usually the low end. And for him to shake off fastball to go to slider, you just don't see him do that very much. Just worth keeping your eye on, that's all.
Sure. Well, they're on the corners. That is a go-ahead run here in the 9th inning at third with nobody out. And the pitch on the way. That was a fastball at 98. Blackmon can run. He will tag. Here comes the throw. Here comes the runner. Safe, and the Rockies have a 1-run lead. Also tagging going first to second is LeMahieu. Runner at second base, 1 away, and here's Ben Paulson, left-handed batting outfielder, swing and a miss.
And now he's back up to his normal range, so maybe just took him a few extra pitches to get loose.
If you're wondering, the Colorado closer is the one-time Milwaukee closer, really on again, off again, on again, off again closer for the Brewers over the last number of seasons, and right-hander John Axford. Ottavino had picked up 3 saves early in the year, currently on the disabled list. Gone swinging is Paulson for the second out here in the Colorado 9th inning. Troy Tulowitzki, their all-star shortstop, will come on and pinch hit, getting a rare off day. At least a rare off day for this season. Of course, Tulowitzki has been more than just slightly injury prone really during almost his entire major league career. Tulowitzki has not played more than 125 games in a season, but one time going back to 2009. 126, I should say, officially. Of course, a number of those were as a pinch hitter. But only one time has he had as many as 500 at-bats in a season since that 2009 year. And a lot of rumors that the Rockies, who have him signed all the way through the 2020 season, might be interested in moving Tulowitzki to try to bring in multiple players in a deal. There were a lot of rumors this time a year ago. Would he be the guy to replace Derek Jeter as shortstop of the Yankees? 3-1 to count.
Well, the first move that they tried to get Tulowitzki to agree to would be the move from shortstop to first base. And he said right away, I'm not doing it. I'll retire before I do that. He's dealt with a lot of different things, most recently hip surgery.
But he was one of the names you read about frequently when the initial diagnosis was given to Reds catcher Devin Mesoraco, right?
Yeah. I think Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, has had also hip surgery. And they'll come back. Charlie Morton, pitcher.
Yeah. Of course, the one big caveat, the difference here is those guys are position players that don't involve squatting up and down hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of times over the course of a career as a shortstop or a pitcher or a first baseman or a third baseman, wherever it is you're playing. The Reds will have a top of the order in the bottom of the ninth inning. Phillips, Votto, and Frazier. They're hoping it will stay a one-run deficit after the Rockies have scored off Aroldis Chapman here in the top of the ninth.
Got a long time going on right here. Tulowitzki signed one of the longest contracts around, and he is signed as a Rocky through age 35. Which is the year 2020.
Tulowitzki gone swinging, but the Rockies come up with a run against Chapman. Can the Reds rally and avoid the losing streak going to 9? Phillips, Votto, and Frazier coming up. To you by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Boy, get a look at some of the work that's been done along the banks. Kids have a great time. Those little water fountains down there, and that's just beyond the off of Joe Nuxall Way, right there on the corner of Joe Nuxall Way and Mering Way. All right, here we go. Bottom half of the ninth inning. Colorado with a 1-run lead. And it's been a very good year, a nice bounce back year for Axford. Although you do see in 10 innings, only 10 innings, spanning 11 games, he does have 5 walks.
Well, he's always had that issue going on, but he's been a high strikeout pitcher. But for all the things that he's done in his major league career, and he's saved a ton of games, he has not done all that well historically against the Reds.
Especially in this ballpark.
In this ballpark, you remember maybe the biggest game the Reds had a few years ago where Ramon Hernandez on opening day hit a 3-run homer off Axford against the Brewers to win it for the Reds in walk-off fashion. And 5 at Great American Ballpark. No good memories here for Axford. Maybe make one more bad one here. The Reds are hoping.
You're talking about 15 games spanning 11 2/3 innings for Axford. In those 11+ innings, he's walked 11 and given up a whopping 5 home runs in 11 2/3 innings at Great American Ballpark. Phillips, Votto, Frazier here in the Reds' bottom of the 9th inning. This will be out number 1. Some of you may remember the terrible story back in spring training when Axford's 2-year-old little boy, his son's name is Jameson, he was bitten twice by a rattlesnake, and they thought that his son was going to lose his foot. The ball's in the air, left center field, going to be caught at the warning track, and the Reds are down to their final out. They managed to save the foot, but he will still require skin graft surgery and other skin regeneration procedures. It was a terrifying situation, needless to say, for their entire family. And thankfully, a couple of weeks ago, his son was able to come back and was asked to throw out the ceremonial first pitch before a game against the Dodgers.
You know, Tom, he wasn't bitten just once, he was bitten twice.
Yeah.
Scary.
Really scary. Well, thank God it looks like he's going to be okay, because that was just a horrible story. 1-0 the count on Todd Frazier, and now ball to strike. The last hit the Reds had was that single by Pena, which came in the 7th inning. The last run they scored was a game-tying home run in the 6th by Bird. And Reds fans trying to get behind Todd Frazier with one big crack of the bat and tie this thing up. Frazier hit a 2-run home run in the 1st inning. His error allowed a couple of unearned runs to score against Jason Marquis the next half inning when Colorado took the lead. Eventually it went to 4-2. The Reds with single runs in the 4th and the 6th to tie it. And Colorado scores off Chapman in the top of the ninth. 2-1 to Frazier. Popped up over near the screen, and 3 rows out of play. Did not miss by much.
Got a little giddy up on that fastball, Axford does. Axford, you may or may not know, was drafted originally by the Reds in 2005. That was the year in which the Reds took Jay Bruce in the first round. Then took Travis Wood, Sam LeCure, Adam Rosales, and Axford was in the 42nd round.
Well, there's a 2-out walk to Frazier to keep it alive for Jay Bruce. So now the potential winning run coming to the plate. And it's been a very good day for Jay. A single to right in the first inning, lined out to third in the third. Single to center in the fifth, single to center again in the seventh. A 3-hit day for Jay Bruce. Big shift put on defensively, as just about every team does in every single at bat when Bruce is in the batter's box.
Do you risk a stolen base here?
What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, the argument for would be, well, it would then only take 1 hit to score Frazier from first base. Of course, against that, if Jay Bruce hits a double or a home run, it doesn't make any difference. You don't want to run yourself out of the ball game. Now, if it's Billy Hamilton over there, maybe a different story.
One and 0 to Jay Bruce here in the bottom of the ninth inning. Oh, he had a good pitch to hit right there. Found it straight back.
Yeah, that's his zone, too. He has really punished pitches that have been up in the zone the last week or so.
A very enthusiastic crowd here today on this Memorial Day Monday. They have been behind the home team despite trailing most of the game and despite a current 8-game losing streak. Big swing and a miss. And now Exford has Bruce around the neck at a ball and 2 strikes. Frazier, the tying run at first base. Bruce, the winning one at the plate. 2 outs in the ninth inning. This current 8-game losing streak is the longest by the Reds since 2009. They have not lost more than 8 consecutively since an 11-gamer all the way back in 1998. Shallow left center field, caught, and that's the game. The losing streak goes to 9 in a row. The Rockies beat Aroldis Chapman on this Memorial Day Monday. The Reds strand 9, and they lose by a final count of 5-4. Our steel power tool performer, Nolan Arenado, in the field. Spectacular. And at the plate, 3 of 4 today. Knocked in 3 of Colorado's 5 runs. So the Reds will try and get her straightened out tomorrow in Game 2 of this series. We invite you to join us. Reds Live will get on the air tomorrow night at 6:30. And our game coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available if you'd like to come down and join us. Supposed to be a nice night here in downtown Cincinnati. 5-4 the final. Reds Live, the post-game version coming up next. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.